There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Good morning, Gumpers. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with Good Morning Portugal live stream show. Oh, hello. I've got somebody just arrived in behind the scenes in the green room. Good morning to you. Producer Duck is here behind the scenes. Yeah, Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How are you this morning? Lots going on in the chat. Who was here earliest this morning? Let's have a look, shall we? And see, I think, Marty's here. Marty, great picture from you in Coimbra. We'll share that. Oh, not too early then. I think everyone's having a bit of a lie-in this morning. Where's Baldylocks this morning? We've got Matty here. We've got James. We have Marty, as mentioned. Profi Sabio. James is here. Hello, James. T-Duck. Gemini's in early as well. Chris, great to see you yesterday, Chris. It was a fantastic meetup, was it not? Can you let everybody know how awesome it was, Chris, if indeed you felt that way? If it was mutual. Over 20 people for our Silver Coast meetup yesterday in San Martino de Porto. Thank you, Nelson, at the Palmeira Cafe. Great job. We were hanging out there from about 1 o'clock for several hours. Had lunch and then a few coffees and drinks afterwards. Fantastic. Really great hospitality. Lovely view of the bay. So do join us. The venue may vary from time to time. We might even get out of San Martino de Porto in the coming weeks and months and meet elsewhere. But Silver Coast meetup going really well. Over 20 people yesterday. Thank you to each and every one of you who came. Lee is also here this morning. Sam Nazare. Look at that with this instruction. Smash that like button, everyone. Cheers, Sam. How are you? And what are you up to, Lee, this morning as well? So good morning to all of you. We'll go deeper into your comments a little bit later on. And, of course, Pam's here. Bon dia. We'll check in with Pam tonight at 7:30, where she'll be talking about being a volunteer and getting connected in your local community. By doing so, become a volunteer, do some good work in your local neighbourhood with a good cause. And talking of good causes, we have Wiley on at 9 as well, talking about how Cascais is helping out with the folks helping the folks of the Ukraine. When I was there a few weeks ago, there was a flag hoisted in the bay. They have a huge flag in Cascais Bay there, and they were sporting the Ukrainian flag in a gesture of support and solidarity with the folks of Ukraine. So talking to Wiley about Cascais. It's a little bit weird in my voice, aren't I? Hope you're feeling better today, Michael Heron. He was sniffing and coughing his way through the show yesterday and turning the camera off from time to time. But what a trooper. We managed to get through the show. Certainly we didn't spread any germs because we were isolated in our various setups here, in our respective setups. But I hope he's feeling better today. I've still got a little bit of a tickly throat myself here. I hope you're feeling well where you are. Just let us know. Give us a shout out in the comments in the chat. If you've not spoken before, if you're one of those people that lurks or are a bit shy, feel free to say hi for the first time today. You'll get a lovely greeting, won't they, everybody? Chris, keeper of the likes, will give you a nice warm welcome. He tends to do that. And Jean here is as well this morning. Hola, pessoas. Fiera Quinta. I see you've mixed it up. You've remixed the day a little bit there. Quinta-feira, Fiera Quinta. Very, very good, Jean. Nice one. Showing a grasp of the language for sure there. Hope you're well over there in New Jersey. We have so much to share with you this morning. Quite amazing. Lovely videos and pictures that have been sent in. Funny ones, nice. Well, we got back on track, didn't we, with the pooch and pussy action yesterday. People sending in pictures of their pets, which is already, I kind of got a little bit abstracted, as you might expect with the crew here. We have crocheted carnations and funny signs from around the country as well after our talk of barnacles yesterday. Nuts, barnacles, beans, all sorts yesterday on the show. That tends to happen when Michael Heron's around. And I'm just loading Mark's nuts, actually. Mark sent a picture in of some nuts he enjoyed. Oh, no, I've already got those. I'm getting confused now and getting myself mixed up. But I've got a lot to share with you before 9 o'clock when Wiley joins us. So let's relax into that, shall we? And let's go with the wildlife and the animals, first of all. Lovely video in this morning from Victoria, who's also, of course, in our she's in our 50 plus vitality in action plan project that's going on at the moment. 20 days of tips from 6 different people, ranging from gentle fitness to real sort of self-healing cellular level stuff from Mrs. M. Check that out on the 50 plus vitality group on Facebook. And on a very practical level, if it's something you don't like in your life, you can change it. Look what Victoria's done here. She's talking over these 20 days about rediscovering your creativity. And in her apartment in the Algarve there, you can see that she wasn't too keen. Orange is a very popular color, I think, in Airbnbs and lets, isn't it? Apartments and so on. You're not the first person, Victoria, to encounter orange. Nothing rhymes with orange. And maybe it's the same with interior design. Nothing rhymes with orange. I like it personally. I think it's a bold statement and I find it very cheerful, but not a fan. Victoria decided to take matters into her own hands, literally, and change the lampshade, which you can just remove when she goes from the flat. This is well, I was going to say this should be an Instagram channel. It is, of course, at Benson, Victoria Benson Creative, at Victoria Benson Creative. Follow her for more tips like this on how you can pimp your ride, as it were, when it comes to your probably not an Airbnb. You're not going to want to do that if you're only in there for 2 nights, unless you're really picky or particular. But if you've got a longer let and you just want to change things a little bit, garnish, interior design garnish and modifications and innovations. Isn't that brilliant? Well done. And Victoria goes on to say, this is the Victoria Benson show, actually, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I think. How to finish a project. For all you procrastinators, sometimes you shelve a project. It's okay, life happens. I'm sharing a few ideas here to help you reignite your project. Set a time limit and stick to it. Yes, I think we've all got creative projects, haven't we? That because we didn't put a time limit on it, that idea we had back in 1987 is still written in a book somewhere. And it's hanging about there, not uncompleted and incomplete. I beg your pardon, incomplete. And so yeah, you get that it becomes clutter of the mind, doesn't it? So that's a really good advice there, to set a time limit and stick to it. Reduce the scope of the project. Yes. Keep it simple, silly, and refill your creative well. So make sure you're not, I guess, hell bent on completion, and you make sure you have creative input as well as output. I think that's what Victoria's saying there. And resist the pull of perfectionism. Lord knows I've learned that one. I'd never let the excellent spoil the good. That's one of the things I live by. I'd rather have good than excellent, rather than nothing at all, because I think that's what happens with the perfectionists and the procrastinators. Now jump back in and finish it. Doesn't that feel better? Yes. Nice one, Victoria. Let's stay with your lovely cats, Derby and Dublin. Lovely video. Now, if people did this, there would be trouble. But we think it's cute when cats do this. Check this out.
Darby, do you love Dublin so much? She loves you too.
He says she loves it there. Looks a bit grumpy about that, actually. Get off. I'm just trying to sunbathe on the terrace here, and you keep licking my face. This is the cats talking, everybody, in case you've just entered the room and wondered what's going on. There is a phenomenon among gumpers. There is passive gumperism, or something along those lines, where other people who pretend not to be fans of the show are in the background listening to the occasional comment that's coming from the screen and from the speakers, and then making their own comment. I've had this reported to me. So there are definitely you lovely gumper community, the front line of gumperism. And then there are the friends and family of the gumpers who might need their own support group, of course, as well. And they just kind of drive by in the background and they hear the music. Oh, it's that Portugal program again. in Portugal, etc., etc. And what's up with this bloke? Why can't he keep on track? Why does he keep losing his focus, etc., etc.? But they can't resist, can they? They can't resist. And I think day by day, they're slowly lured into saying more and more and commenting more and more. So here's to you, passive gumpers out there this morning, or those friends and family of true gumpers who may indeed need their own support group soon. Thank you very much, Victoria. You also sent us this fabulous video. If you're ever feeling blue, people don't say that anymore, do they? If you're feeling blue, if you're feeling down, I suppose it's become much more technical now, isn't it? If you're having mental health challenges, we used to just say blue, didn't we? Or a bit off color, or bad with our nerves. We had a lot of different euphemisms back in. James might find this amusing. What were those euphemisms? What did you say in the United States? Blue is the word, isn't it, for not feeling great and feeling a little bit unhappy. If ever you're feeling blue, go to the beach and you'll see these characters, won't you, along the Atlantic coast of Portugal. These guys always cheer me up. Check it out. Little sandpipers on the beach. Aren't they brilliant, nimble and agile? And you think they're going to get overwhelmed, but they've got one eye on the... I think they have one eye looking at the waves, don't they? And the other eye, like a chameleon, looking down on the floor to see if there's anything worth foraging for. Sandpipers. Oh, and Vitor's daughter here, whilst we're in the videos.
Bom dia, alegria!
Bom dia, alegria.
Hey.
It's just the way she looks at her dad at the end. I really love that. And while we're talking about Vitor, Vitor's launching a new show, everybody. Vitor Costa, he'll be joining us tonight on the Premium Plus Q&A at 9 p.m. Talking to people about buying a house. He's Portuguese. He's in the real estate business. He's hugely helpful, and people love him. And he's always great fun, isn't he, when he joins us on the show? And he'll be with the Premium Plus folks tonight at 9. Now, he's launched his own show called Coast to Costa, I think. And he said, I'm with him tomorrow morning on the show, and this is what he sent me as the promotional material. I'm not entirely happy about it, I have to say, but fortunately, he sent me another one later on. There we go. That's better, isn't it? From Coast to Costa, 10:45 tomorrow morning, and I'll be talking to. I don't know what about yet. It's his first one, and I don't know who Knuckles is. That sounds a bit worrying. The Vitor is Carl Monson and the Vitor Costa. Ooh. Or Vitor, and Knuckles, whoever Knuckles is. So we will find out tomorrow. So join us for that. That should be fun. Thank you very much indeed. And of course, on Friday, Feel Good Friday tomorrow with Filomena, we will be singing the song we mentioned yesterday, Grandola Vila Morena, the Zeca Afonso song, the Zé Afonso song. That is the one, isn't it, that I think got everyone motivated to put everything into action for the Carnation Revolution, the second song that we mentioned yesterday. We're going to sing it together tomorrow. And on that note, look at these crocheted red carnations, everybody. Interesting artwork and family photos there. Very nice. And the fabulous crocheted red carnations that Rebel Mama is creating there up in the north of Portugal. Superb! They should be on Etsy, and they probably will be on the 26th of April. Possibly. You might be able to buy one of those. Isn't that lovely? So, yes, Mark's nuts, Michael's barnacles. We had a far-ranging conversation yesterday, didn't we? Oh, yes, I did. So Mark said, we were talking about, weren't we, what the snacks that you could have with beer in a Portuguese bar. And Mark was delighted to be given these in a Pombal hostelry, complete with nutcrackers there, walnuts, fresh walnuts, I suspect, in central Portugal. And it was in central Portugal that I first ate walnuts straight off the tree at Palmela, I think. Is it? No, not Palmela. Oh, I can never remember the name of the castle. Oh, my goodness, not far from Coimbra. It'll come back to me later, but there we were. It's where they have the most amazing Principio Christmas gathering, Christmas fair there. Not Penella Castle. There were walnuts on the ground just like that, and you could crack them open. I think the fall to the ground, gravity had helped, and you could just open them up and eat fresh walnuts. They were delicious. So what a lovely idea in this bar in Pombal. Thanks, Mark, for this, sending in those photos. Big sack of nuts, big basket of nuts there. Nutcrackers, help yourself, have a beer. Isn't that a lovely bit of hospitality? And barnacles were also mentioned. Thank you, Prof. Eusebio, for sending in the picture of these barnacles that are very dangerous to forage for. I think Gordon Ramsay, we understand, nearly got washed away trying to do so. and they are a fearsome looking bit of food, aren't they? Quite extraordinary. Not tried them myself. I would. And in a restaurant where they have them, we sell understands. A slight translation error there from the Portuguese. They are called percebes, those barnacles. And of course, percebes means to understand as well, doesn't it? Percebo. I no percebo. I mean, I imagine a few of you have said that. I no percebo. I don't understand, which is quite a useful get out when you're stuck in one of those situations of Portu panic in a shop or public office somewhere. So yes, we sell understands. Barnacles on the menu when you see that. Vendemos percebes. Simply, they could say percebes, couldn't we? Not ha, but percebes yesterday, as we were talking about yesterday. All right, let's go to a few of your messages this morning. There's still more pictures to show everybody, and I'm delighted to do so. Oh, yeah, while we're on the wildlife then, we've had Derby and Dublin, the cats down there in the Algarve. Alpha, we showed yesterday, the Great Dane. Do send in pictures of your pets to 913-590-303. I see a dog in the distance there, but this is one of Philomena's ducks. I don't know if the duck will be with her tomorrow. Maybe we should ask her to bring your duck to work. I've done it today. I've got my duck with me. I actually have. If you want to bring your duck to work tomorrow, do that, or send in your pictures of cats and dogs and more unusual pets. That'd be quite good fun as well, won't it? 913-590-303. There's the number on the screen. At 9 o'clock, we'll be welcoming Wiley to talk about buying property in Portugal. She can answer those questions more generally about buying property in Portugal. It's the business she's in, the location she's in is Cascais, Estoril, around there, and she specializes in those areas. If you want to check her out before she arrives, wileyandpartners.com. Yes, and Wiley, yes, that Wiley of the gnomes and the laundry, of course. Looking forward to, and we were reminded of when we saw this cartoon of Wiley after a laundry gate. It dries the washing using the very latest technology, a combination of solar and wind power. See, Portuguese got it right with that. Fantastic. Thank you to you who sent that in. You may wish to remain anonymous. Hola, bom dia, alegria, todos. Amsterdam, chuvoso e frio. Rainy and cold in Amsterdam this morning, Matty. Bet you can't wait to be here, but you're waiting for those repairs. And talking of repairs, anyone who deals with newcomers of insurance, the Bear Grylls of the insurance world, they had a problem with their server last week. It's Nunu's asked me to say to everybody that it's all up and running again. Everything's fine over there at Winsurance. They just had to do a bit of IT replacement, and I think they've got a 5,000 email backlog to deal with because of a faulty server issue, but it's all fine again now. So all is well at Winsurance. If you've experienced a slight delay, and you will notice if you don't get fast service from Winsurance, because that's how they work. That's how they roll over there. That's my experience of them. A little bit of an IT setback, but back on track again, I think now. So you will be hearing from them if you've got an outstanding inquiry with Winsurance. Thank you, Nunu, for using this service to update everybody. That service report from Winsurance. Glad to do that. Dimitri Martin quote of the day from James. The banana slug is back. Guess who's back? Oh, I'm going to have to be careful how I read this. When someone describes themselves as a taxpayer, they're about to be, yes, they are about... They're about to virtue signal. Should we say that instead of what you actually sent in to me? And a bon dia from you, James. Feliz quinta todos. O que tem feito? Yes, how you doing? Everybody, Marty's here. Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz quinta-feira todos. Estamos agora em Vitorville, Ponta de Lima. Wow, going to Vitorville. That's a really good way of putting it. Vitorville. Up there in the north. Oh, Wiley's getting ready in the green room with a lovely stove in the background. She looks so cozy there in Cascais. How lovely. It must be a bit chilly this morning in Cascais. We're just saying hello to a few folks, Wiley. We'll bring on just a moment. You've got time to grab a coffee if you want to be real cozy by your fire there. If you could make me one, that'd be awesome. Yes, so Marty up Ponta de Lima, and you sent in a recent picture from Coimbra as well. Beautiful. Birds of Paradise in Coimbra. And yes, I should have done that as a guessing game, shouldn't I? Which beautiful Portuguese city is this? Some of you will be sharp-eyed enough to recognize that, I think, Coimbra behind the Bird of Paradise that you see in the foreground of the picture there. Absolutely beautiful. Please send in more of those, Marty. Any pictures of Portugal, we are delighted to show here on the Good Morning Portugal show. I think I'm up to date with pickies. We'll come back to this one, of course. This is the view in Cascais of the Ukrainian flag. There, and we'll talk to Wiley about that a little bit later on. And yes, I think we're fully up to date, at least for now, unless you send anything else in on 913-590-303. Did anyone ever go to Faro Liplo? If you've got any current pictures of Faro Liplo, that would be great as well. There it was in 1901, as reported on April Fool's Day. Midlife crisis, Prof. Sabio, bon dia, marineros. Is that sailors? Hello, sailor. To you, Prof. Sabio, who is that's the right greeting for that man today. Oh, okay, it's time to play the music, everybody. Very better. Bow, right, the Portuguese national anthem, as you've never heard it before, which signifies today in Portuguese history. Thank you very much, Prof, for this. Today in Portuguese history, 1809, the defense of the Amarante Bridge. The long defense of the bridge at Amarante was the first significant Portuguese success during Marshal Soult's invasion of the country. We've heard about this fella before, haven't we? But here we are in Amarante. Marshal Soult, a great military figure then, clearly. Why is he running away? It's okay. Marshal Soult is not after you, Marty. That's a wild boar comment as well, isn't it? Or does he not like ducks? I wonder what that's referring to. Having captured Porto, Marshal Soult needed to reopen communications with the Spanish army that was supposed to be supporting him from around Salamanca. Portuguese guerrillas had meant that Soult had to send a brigade of infantry and a brigade of cavalry towards the Portuguese border in an attempt to find the Spanish. Portuguese General Silveira had come down the Tamega River from Chaves. I hope you're keeping up with this. Keeping most of his army intact, taking up a defensive position around Amarante. His army had grown to around, the tension is building, to 10,000 strong. Although Silveira's men had eventually been forced away from the bridge, they had delayed the French for nearly a month. In this time, the strategic position in Portugal had shifted away from Soult. On the 22nd of April, Sir Arthur Wellesley, that's Wellington, isn't it? Who lived at number 1 London. That was his address, everybody. Little factoid for you there. On the 22nd of April, Sir Arthur Wellesley, known as Wellington, reached Lisbon at the head of a new British army. Soult was forced to abandon his original plan. So there you go. Excellent stuff. Weaving in the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the English together in the 19th century. I think that's where we were in that today in Portuguese history. Thank you very much, Prof. Sabio. Bon viager, my friend. We're looking forward to talking to you on Terra Firma Portuguesa very soon. T-Duck is here. Thank you very much for that. Let's have a little bit more of that. There you go. Okay, so today in Portuguese history. Thank you very much, Prof. Yes, T-Duck is here. Bon dia, alegria, gumpers. Douglas Adams quote from you. We are stuck with technology when what we really want is just stuff that works. Yes, so true. Just talk to Nuno Mendes about that. Arthur C. Clarke, first one from him. I don't believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarian and we're skeptical. But hey, very good. Look at this seamless production from astrology, Sagittarians, and now to Gemini Bradshaw. Good morning, everyone. How are you, Gemini? And Charlie Chaplin, said, a day without laughter is a day wasted. So true. And certainly we created a reservoir of goodwill and good feeling yesterday, didn't we, at the meetup? I think we had enough laughter yesterday to last us for the rest of the week. But I'm not saying you should stop short in any way in enjoying and laughing and giggling. And as people in Sheffield, I used to live in Sheffield in the north of England, and they had a phrase up there, get some laughing done. Get some laughing done. Which I think is a beautiful phrase. Morning all from Chris. Chris, great to see you yesterday. Did you enjoy yourself? I'm not seeing your report yesterday on the Silver Coast meetup. Mark Twain, you're in good company, Chris. Mark Twain, age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Hey! Hola, T-Duck and Chris from Marty. Marty, a little bit more leisurely, not out on the road yet today. Francis is back, as well as the banana slug. Look at this. Bon dia, alegria, todos. In the words of Pearl Jam's song, a Pearl Jam song, I'm still alive. Well done. Hope you're all good. Been missing you guys. We've been missing you too. There was a Francis-shaped hole in the Gumper landscape, and it's good to have you back, Francis. Lee's here. Probably sitting in the van, staying out the Portuguese sun in Lisbon. How you doing, Lee? Or he's already got his shirt off and working in the garden, possibly. Slightly grey day here. What weather are we looking at? 13 degrees and mostly cloudy here in the bay in San Martino this morning. So you're up north and looking forward to a rainy day or two. Yes, that's what happens up there. But it's so lush and green. It has many charms, does the north of Portugal. And you'll find that out with Vitor, of course. I'm seeing a lot of Vitor in the next couple of days, as it sounds like you will be as well, Marty. Rain on the way should help things grow. Yeah, absolutely. Em de Abril, Águas Mil. It is the rainy month here in Portugal. Still loving your trip, I assume. Yes, we want to know, Chris. Come on, he's a bit slow this morning, isn't he? Smash that like button, everyone, says Sam. Good morning, Sam. Pam, Sam from Sam to Pam, and Lee only in the cave. Oh, what does that mean? He only takes his shirt off in the cave. I wonder what I was talking about when he was moved to make that comment. The meetup was great fun. Yep, T-Duck enjoyed that. Mr. and Mrs. Duck, great to see you both there. And Lee is having a coffee. The van is in for a quick repair. But a big weekend planned. Oh, I see. Dougie's here. Morning from Barcelona. He gets about, doesn't he? How's Barcelona this morning? Can we have a picture, please, Dougie, of Barcelona, if you don't mind? A lot of people love. I've never been. A lot of people love Barcelona, don't they? Not long now till every comment is some variation of smash, hit, fondle that like button. Ooh, you see, people do love Barcelona. Too cool. Yes, pictures, please. For all the Barcelona files here. Don't show any videos from St. Catherine. Exactly. Yes. Beneath that, a very seemingly respectable exterior, St. Catherine has quite a wicked sense of humour, we discovered yesterday. Bon dia, Gumpers. A mischievous one at that, too. Have to leave in an hour, says Baddy. And Baddy, I'm so sorry about what happened yesterday. For everybody on the Silver Coast community that comes to the meetup, check the WhatsApp group, and that's my bad, Baddy, with that, because I know there was a splinter group yesterday. There were people who didn't get the memo about the venue change, but you had a little meetup anyway, I understand, which is fantastic to hear. Hope you're all having a wonderful week from Baddy there. When everything is orange, yes, emphasis on everything. Some of it has to go. I see. And T-Duck trying to rhyme with orange, sporange, and blorange. Sorry, that's a... She determined they were walnuts. Erotic novel entry, everybody. I didn't get the first bit of that, which is also an erotic novel entry in its own right. Hola, Francis Gashback. Jean, pleased to see you here. As many of us are, Francis. Good to see you, mate. Kathy, bon dia. Can't thank you enough. What's going on? Can't thank you enough, Carl. Just a few weeks ago, I started to consider moving to Portugal. I found this site, and you all seemed so content and happy. It helped to make my mind up. Yes, result. Thanks to you and Gilda, I have my first consultation with EI tomorrow afternoon. Step 1, really looking forward to it. Thank you. Kathy, that is so nice to hear. Brilliant. Superb. Keep that lovely. Well, keep us updated because there are twists and turns, plot twists moving to Portugal, and we are a happy bunch, and we have a few of these twists and turns and plot twists under our belts. When the going gets a bit tough, you know where to come, and also to celebrate all those wonderful victories as well. Good morning, friends. The day is shining in Windsurance. Finally, the new server's motherboard has arrived, and we are fully operative. Also, with a nightmare of more than 5,000. I thought I had too many emails. 5,000 accumulated emails to answer. Half of us have been without email since last Friday. A weekend of work arises. Oh, dear. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that. Next, well, good luck as well, Nunu, dealing with that. Do you need any help? Do you want a few gumpers over there to help out with that? Because we're talking about volunteering tonight. Maybe you need a bit of help. Next comes the furball. Ah, yes. That's so true, isn't it? Or is that an erotic novel entry? Bon dia, alegria gumpers. Cindy B, great meetup yesterday. Yes. Thank you for being there, Cindy. And yes, lovely cat pose. It's all about the cats this morning. Go to the garden yoga in 50 Plus Vitality to see the cat pose this morning from Cindy B. P Gumpers, the passive Gumpers. It's a thing, isn't it? It's a thing. Yes, Blue, the namesake for blues music, but not blue movies, of course, because that's different altogether. Love those sandpiper birds. Fun to watch them scurry about as they feast. Yes, they cheer you up, don't they? And looking good there, Carl. Well, thank you very much, Francis. Yes, you noticed. Hi, Nunu. I emailed you yesterday. Yes, you give him a couple of days, Gene, about travel trip insurance for my upcoming 30-day stay. That explains the delay. I wondered if it wasn't some tech glitch. You felt it in your water and you felt it right. Slight delays, but they're back on track at Winsurance. Bon dia, Bob from Bob and Viv, who, like me, love the Vitor, move into a much larger house in progress. Oh, wow. Yes, there's room for us all up there, apparently. Gemini, so cute. Oh, is that the little sandpiper birds? Mark is here. Bon dia, Gumpers. Push or smash the like button. Good to see you, mate. Lovely, Khadija. So cute. Maybe that's the knitted, crocheted red carnations there. And yes, thanks to Vitor for sure. So many comments this morning. We will come back. Very tasty nuts yourself, big boy crypto pants. We will come back to these comments because it's 9 o'clock, folks, and time to say hello to to Wiley. We'll say hello to Vitor at 9 tonight. Wiley, 9 o'clock this morning, which it is. Did I just hear Pombal? Who? Why? Matty, you can see, I think, big boy crypto pants in Pombal very soon. Wiley's here, everybody. Good morning to you, Wiley. How's it going?
Morning. Good.
Oh, it looks so cozy there. What's going on? Is it a bit chilly this morning in Cascais?
It is. It's like 12. I don't know. It's been a couple days like this, but it's nice to have a fire. It's great.
It's disgraceful. 12 degrees. We didn't come here for that, did we? But anyway.
At least in the morning.
Well, yes, that's true. That's true, because I did have my German U-boat captain polo neck on yesterday morning, and I was out with everybody. By lunchtime, I was regretting we're having a turtleneck on. And, well, just between you and me, Wiley, the turtleneck can be a bit of a coverall, can't it? It's one of those great garments that I think every gentleman should have. And sadly, I wasn't correctly attired beneath it. And it's also quite, if you're in company and you try and take off a tight sweater of any kind, that can be a little bit awkward as well, can't it? Maybe I could have revealed a little bit too much among new and mixed company. So that turtleneck had to stay on, and I got a little bit hot and bothered. But this is what you have to prepare for in Portugal, right? You know the phenomenon, don't you? You dress up in the morning, 5 layers, lunchtime, outside, eating in the sun.
Well, I did one worse. I was at a showing yesterday. I took my turtleneck off, and the shirt I had underneath was inside out. I got dressed quickly. I don't know. It was so embarrassing. I can't even begin to tell you how I'm looking down going, what do I do?
Oh,
there's nothing to do.
I think you got to go with it. I think you got to go with it and say, it's a Cascais. It's a Cascais thing. And this is straight from the catwalks in Paris. Yeah, they were doing it in Paris a couple of weeks ago. We decided we'll do it in Cascais as well. The inside-out shirt. So you know exactly what I'm talking about there. Yes. yes. Okay, so we said earlier on in Cascais, when I was there actually a few weeks ago, I did notice that they were very quick to respond with the solidarity flag, of course, up there. And it's a huge flag, isn't it? I mean, you can't get a sense of the scale of it there, but when you're in the harbour, it is a huge flag.
Massive, which is great, because you can see it from every angle and everybody feels the Ukrainians are here and they're so relaxed and they're so comfortable. And everyone stops them on the street and thanks them for coming. And I sat down at a pizzeria the other night, and there was 2 sitting next to me, and we began discussing everything that's going on, and they seem so just at ease, which is so great that they can be here and just breathe. So, and everyone's embracing them. It's wonderful.
Yeah, because I mentioned an event that's happening at Martignan Cascais, because the civic leaders of Cascais have really been involved a very sort of intimate level, haven't they? Driving stuff over for people. Absolutely. And bringing people back, getting them on board in the vans, in the coaches, bus loads back to Cascais. So just give us a bit more of a sense of the civic engagement that's going on over there.
Oh, from a civic level, I can tell you that a lot of, I don't know if I'm saying civic, but a lot of the private schools are getting together, the expat community schools, and doing clothing drives. And a lot of the families in the schools are actually housing a lot of the Ukrainian families. On this street alone, I can say there's probably 4 families living on the street. Wow. And we are all donating clothes, and we're also donating groceries to the families who are housing them, and droves of clothing. and baby beds, and when they're getting their own apartments and their own homes, furniture, and it's all going through. It's all funneled through the schools. So Tasis, Kazel, they're all stepping up and doing the drives, and the parents are the ones who are really running the show for them. And when we get there, they're so grateful. So, and what's wonderful is the children are seeing this, and so I think the trickle down effect is wonderful. That children are being taught at an early age about what's going on and how we can support it.
How to respond. That's great to hear. And I imagine people would rather be at home, but this is proving to be, sounds like a home from home as much as is humanly possible in the way that Cascais has risen to the occasion.
I have a neighbor who, her first family of 5, an anonymous gentleman donated his estate to them for as long as they wanted to live there. So she went to drop them off and said, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was a mini mansion. And that's it was, really moving. He didn't want to be introduced. It was, you'll have no bills. You'll stay here until you need to leave and just relax.
My goodness.
Mind-boggling.
You know what? I'm feeling a bit of competitiveness. I'm feeling a disturbance in the force of the Portuguese community here. It's like, well done, Cascais, but we're doing stuff over here as well. We did this and I think it is a bit of it's almost gamified, isn't it? That people want to really respond to this, the humanitarian effort, and extend open arms to the people of Ukraine. And I suspect it's quite competitive around Portugal in that regard.
I don't feel that, because I only feel what's going on right here. I think maybe I'm just because I'm so focused on Cascais. But sure. One of our local restaurants just opened its doors to every person who wanted to have dinner there for a full day. And it was so we went there to see if we could support it. So we left money for tipping the staff, for supporting that process for them. So it's been incredible. Even Idealista, it's down now, unless I'm mistaken. But there was, you can say on Idealista, buy rent, and there was also something for anybody coming in, houses that were being donated for them.
How incredible! How incredible! That's fantastic news. So well done, Cascais. Exactly. And yes, we may well have other people saying, "Well, yeah, we're also doing something over here."
Oh, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, we would. Do tell us if what's going on, and it ties in very nicely, of course, to tonight's theme on the webinar, which is Pam talking about volunteering in Alcobaça, where she lives. So it's a great opportunity, isn't it? If you're new to the country yourself and you want to get involved and help Ukrainian people come into Portugal, what a brilliant volunteer opportunity.
I think it's really also amazing when people ask you for clothing and you've got this stuff you normally give away, but this time it kind of went deeper, and you went to your closet and you're like, they can absolutely, absolutely. It wasn't the stuff that was just kind of left over. It was stuff that, you would really like someone else to feel happy and comfortable and beautiful wearing. So the donations were on a completely different level.
We are so funny, us human beings, aren't we? We have this in us, don't we? But it often takes a terrible crisis to bring out the best in us. But that said, amazing. What a lovely response. Sarah's here. And I know Sarah, like others, looking for property here in Portugal. The thing to do is to ask questions more generally. I'm sure, Wiley, you'll be happy to answer questions about the general kind of T's and C's and culture of buying a home in Portugal. But of course, sure, your specialist area is Cascais and Estoril. And there's one other area you specialize in as well, isn't it? You have a Holy Trinity.
Over the hill.
Yeah. Okay, yes. So there you go. That's brilliant. Sarah, bon dia, guys. Oh, no, that's not brilliant. Another cold day. It's a school holiday, so another day out with the kids in the freezing snow, by the look of it. The kids will love it, don't worry. What's this? That was a big sack of nuts. James, not now. It was referring to the walnuts that were given with the beer. That's Big Boy Crypto Pants, who was delighted. We were talking yesterday, Wiley, about the snacks that you get in Portugal when you ask for an Imperial. Might be the tremoções, mightn't it? The pinto beans. It might be snails. Do you like the little snails here in Portugal? She doesn't like the snails. Or it might be walnuts. I'm viewing a home. Sorry, I mentioned the snails. I'm viewing a home with Vitor later today. Ah, fantastic. Property and a comedy show. Tea for the price of one. It is true. It is true. It's a goose. A goose barnacle or a goose? Oh, no. Okay. My bad. I don't know what you're like on your fowl, Wiley, but that's a goose and not a duck, apparently.
Oh,
Did you know that?
no, I did not.
Okay, me neither, clearly. And so,
I might have guessed it. I would imagine their necks are a bit longer. The ducks seem.
yeah, yep, true. And I was Mother Goose once upon a time in a pantomime. I should have known that. And from goose to goose barnacles, there they are. Not a fan of those either. Okay.
I'm plant-based, so it's not fair. It's not fair to ask.
Oh, I see. Okay, plant-based. Okay, so that's a really good a little thing to talk about there. Plant-based. I'm guessing in Cascais there may be others on a similar sort of dietary consciousness, we could call it. So eating for vegetarians and vegans in Cascais, and your experience generally around Portugal, what's it like?
Oh gosh, having just come from Stockholm is just, it's incredible. It's every third or fourth place, and even every menu in places that aren't deemed vegan or vegetarian are stepping it up and have amazing menus. It's getting better here, and actually on the yellow streets, there's a steak restaurant called Cole, and their side menu is so delicious that I tend to go to that steak restaurant to eat more than a lot of other places. But specifically vegan, vegetarian, House of Wonders, the local, which is a franchise all over, and they're phenomenal. And the beauty of the local is you can be anybody and eat there, but predominantly it's really comfortable. So all my friends would go there with me. House of Wonders is a buffet, but they do have eggs, but that's about it. So it's vegetarian, and that's an amazing place. Tanna on the yellow streets, that's only vegan, which is unusual, but cool. A lot of the sushi places have just a vegan sushi. Especially love it at Cascais is Quesadilla, phenomenal. And those are the only 4 places that kind of come to mind immediately. But the side orders and pizzerias, they're doing cheeseless pizzas, which is phenomenal. So there's 2 or 3 who have the cheeseless pizzas on their menu. People, I think, are waking up to it quite a bit and recognizing that it's a viable option for people. Even if people aren't plant-based, people like to do plant-based 2-3 times a week just to kind of, get all the fibers. So I see more and more restaurants. It'd kind of be silly not to at this point, because you're really.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
You don't need to lose.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not going to remain so polar as so many things are in the world. Whether it's you're a vegan, a vegetarian, or a meat eater or whatever, or a cod botherer. It would be great, wouldn't it, that restaurants aren't what's the word, niched in that way, but you could just go and get great food.
No matter where.
Of any kind. So it's not based on the food group. It's based on the deliciousness and quality of the food.
Agreed.
And I think this is happening slowly, isn't it? Because there are those people, obviously, the top gear Jeremy Clarksons of the world who just see it as a personal dishonor to not eat meat. And that's a bit of a blokey thing, isn't it? But I think that's changing. And the people are sort of omnivorous in quite a good way, and maybe eating less meat.
I think less is the answer. But there's a Guy Michelin restaurant who's only plant-based. There's many high-end restaurants in Stockholm with the top chefs who are only doing. There's one called Rutabaga in Stockholm that just does plant-based, and he has many restaurants, but he's chosen to do one like that, which I think is really the way to go.
It's
to
smart,
not put yourself in that market is kind of.
Yes, I think so. And your experience more widely in Portugal then? I mean, on the one hand, I hear the conversations, it's really difficult being a vegan or a vegetarian in Portugal. And in some ways it is in a traditional place. But actually, if you just go to the market in the morning and you're a foragey sort of fresh produce eater, Portugal is a great place to be, isn't it?
It's a great place. And it's inexpensive. And the organic market is here on Saturdays at the Mercado. They just moved from Hippodromo. So now you have everything kind of under one roof. It's you can't be disappointed. It's impossible. And vegans, we learn how to cook more at home since we recognize that there maybe not the options we have may not be the options that we want to eat all the time, because sometimes they're a little bit more simplistic. So cooking at home has become, having dinner parties, and everybody knows that when they're coming here, they're not going to have fish or meat. In the beginning, they were kind of disgruntled. And after the first 2 or 3 meals, they're like, everyone says after the first meal at home, they're saying, if we could eat like this out there, we'd all be vegans. So it's,
and that's what I guess essentially that's what we're talking about, isn't it? A changing of perception, and people not feeling deprived. because it is so basic food, isn't it? And it doesn't take much to get people upset about food because it is so vital to us, I suppose. It's
and it's so emotional. It's
emotional. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And someone says you shouldn't eat this, and your mom fed it to you, and you had it at all your birthday parties.
Yes.
You have this memory of always getting this, and someone says you can't eat this anymore, and you think, what?
Yes. So, that you put it so well. Absolutely, it's hardwired, and that's certainly a Portuguese thing as well, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing.
But there's also a difference.
Sorry, go on.
There's a difference between vegan and plant-based because vegan is a lifestyle. Vegan is predominantly, and I hope I don't get anybody frustrated, this is my take on it. Vegan. I wear leather boots. I wear leather belts. I wear, leather necklaces and bracelets, and I have leather seats in my car. So a vegan might not do those things because for them it's very much protecting the animals. That is my secondary. My primary is that I believe nutritionally that the way the animals are being treated isn't necessarily interesting for my body. The cows aren't necessarily roaming and eating the natural grasses that they've been eating and living in the outside and, chewing and enjoying. They're in farm factories and they're being fed things that they wouldn't necessarily eat. And so then and not being treated very well is my opinion. So then I don't necessarily want to eat that stressed situation. Fish, there are really not that many more that we can just go out and line catch. So there's fish factories and the trawlers that are going out, and the way that they take animals that they won't be eating anyway and they kill them just because they're part of the catch. That's the ethics of that bother me. So, and I don't necessarily think that fish are still eating the way that they were eating 30, 40, 50 years ago, where it was quite a natural process and the natural cyclical process of how fish feed from other things in the ocean. I don't think those things happen as much anymore, in my opinion. So I don't necessarily want to eat a fish that was raised in a factory. I don't want to necessarily eat an animal that was raised in a factory. And so plant-based, there's an idea that up to 5% of your diet can be an animal protein if that's something you want to supplement with, but that's 5%. So we have 95% plants. For example, I use butter because I don't like cooking with oils. It's just, I don't like using oils. So that's where my 5% comes in. So it's a more relaxed way to look at it. And it's also, I call myself a nutritional vegan as opposed to an ethical vegan.
Thank you for that. That's really interesting. And I'm totally with you on the treatment of animals and what goes on behind the scenes, because I suppose we've developed a culture, haven't we, where we demand to have meat protein or fish in pretty much every meal. That's what's happened. That's I guess to human beings, that's become a sign of success. And there's a big backstory to that people are learning about, I suppose, gradually, which is to meet that demand to have meat in every single sitting. And there's another thing. I mean, maybe we don't need 3 sittings a day. That's a sort of industrial way of eating, isn't it? What I notice, and again, why Portuguese markets are so great. I go to a fishmonger, and I'm seeing the dourada on the counter there, and I look at the signs on the the little signs, the price tickets on there. And I'm looking, like you say, for line caught. A line caught, a bream from Nazaré, to me, feels like a much better choice than what do they call it? Not aquaponic, aquaculture. I think is the badge, and that's how they get the cheap dorada, isn't it? Farmed in Turkey and then brought to Portugal. Wouldn't it be better?
Think of it. It's been frozen. The frequent flyer mileage that's on it. So I mean, universally, that I'm getting my fish from Turkey when I live on an ocean. It's like, what are we doing?
What are we doing? There we go. Us human beings again. The best and the worst of us this morning. Fantastic. Thank you for going down that little avenue. It's fascinating. and I'm sure people will have things to say about it. Obviously, as you say, it's an emotional issue. And people do. Walnuts, they're a great food, aren't they? We had a walnut tree in the garden of our first house. Do we still miss it? Yes.
So fabulous.
And I think a lot of us here have a favorite tree from a house we've lived in Portugal. We had a plum tree when we lived in the Aveiro district. My son still talks about the plum, a fig tree, a notable fig tree, a notable plum tree. I mean, this is a miracle, isn't it? That there is a tree outside of your garden, and every year it blesses you with fruit that you can enjoy in this way.
It's incredible. I just sold a house that had an avocado tree.
Oh my word!
I mean, it was amazing. But, you know, just because I live so close to the Mercado in Cascais, this whole valley was designed to feed the Mercado. And so,
really?
I can't not look out my window and see 10 different types of fruit trees. It's amazing. And so, you know, to walk down the street, and if I need a lemon, I walk across the street and pick one. How often is that? I mean, that happened in Florida. We had a grapefruit tree and an orange tree, and kind of expect those things in Florida, but it's people really don't talk about that as much here. And a walnut tree.
Walnuts, very special, very special. Okay, it looks like Matty and the big boy Crypto Pants are meeting up in Pombal. I think that's a goose. All right, everybody, we've got it now. It's a goose, not a duck. Honk. It's a honk rather than a quack, I think, this morning. Okay, no need for any anonymity with me. Okay, fair enough, James. The slug is transparent. Oh, that's not a nice, I mean... The slug is transparent, or perhaps more accurately, translucent. Indeed, that would be the way of putting it. Yes, the message from the redwoods coming soon, folks. That's how dogs. Well, you might know that. Is it the same in Sweden? In Sweden, do dogs say "ow ow" instead of "woof woof"? No. What do they say in Sweden?
Vuv vuv.
Vuv vuv. Very good. I like it. Vuv vuv.
Well, because we say, like, in America, we might say "bow wow." And so the W's and the V's are actually in the same page on the dictionary and the when we had telephone books. So if my name is Wiley, I would be on the same page as Victor. So and so then the letters have become one. So there's no W's in Sweden. They're only pronounced. If your last name is Wall, your last name would be Val. So so if it would be woo woo woo. Then it would become woo woo. So everything's okay.
Oh, we're learning so much this morning. This is amazing. Michelle's here from Australia. Banana, she says. Let's not make too much of that. Matty and Big Boy Crypto Pants, they're organising a beer and walnut date as well. Oh, it's such fun here this morning. St. Catherine is here. Bon dia, Carl and friends. So how is the property market looking over there in your part of the world, Wiley? Let's have a bit of an update from you, from Wiley and Partners.
It's all about inventory and lack of.
Yeah. Okay.
It's tight.
Same picture all over Portugal then, right? There's not enough housing for sale.
It's crazy. I mean, to rent an apartment, if you're not there the minute it comes out, if you don't wake up at 6 a.m. to see the new listings on Idealist or any place you're searching, and you're not the first 2 or 3 phone calls and the first 2 or 3 visits, it's not yours. I mean, they go in less than 24 hours. They go in less than 2 to 4 hours.
Incredible.
Yeah, if you can't get something that's not even put on the market yet, it's houses that have been on the market for 6 months now have multiple offers on them. You know, I mean, things that are overpriced. You know, rentals for $9,000, which shouldn't be $6,000, are going like this. I'm going to see one today. They told me a price last night. They called me this morning and said the owners decided to increase it by $1,000 because she
9,000 euros a month. That's quite incredible, isn't it? We are talking high-end Portugal here this morning, folks, on the Good Morning Portugal show, and getting a report from Cascais this morning, thanks to Wiley, who can help you. Well, you'll do your best. I mean, there's only so much you can do about the inventory.
Yeah, it's a seller's market, right? I mean, it's supply and demand. So, I mean, it's like this. It's so incredible. And and when you get into these bidding wars, we don't do bidding wars in Portugal. Historically, if someone's not at this price, so let's say I want $1 for it. Yes, they can ask you to come up to $1 in the bidding war, but no one's ever said, let's pay more than $1. People have their prices and they expect that. And if they get under, then they're willing to have people come in over. But it's amazing what's going on with bidding now and how quickly. And so now people are saying, okay, well, I'll give it to you, but I want you to fund in 4 days. And you're like, but I need to get a lawyer who can do. I mean, it's like everything is fast forward. So we put a bid in that was accepted on Monday. We're closing tomorrow, and on this last deal, which is the expedition is so quick. So I had to get my inspectors in within 24 hours. My lawyer had to close within 3 days. I mean, the transfer had to happen in 3 days, and it's over the top.
Incredible. And crystal ball time. Then, how do you see this turning out for the future? Dare you say?
Well, you know, it's so hard because now we have people fleeing countries that they're scared of living in right now. And question is, when will they, and will they choose to go back? You know, will they decide that this is it and stay? That's one scenario. Will there be a mass exodus? That's another scenario. Or something in between. So will people be breaking their leases and leaving early? Will, you know, and saying, you know, it's fine. I just need to go home.
You're talking about Ukrainians, not Americans, there, aren't you?
We're talking about Ukrainians, but also people from Poland, people from Romania, people from. I mean, there's a lot of groups coming in, not just Ukrainians coming in.
Incredible.
So it's been an incredible influx. Now that's kind of almost predominantly rental because for them they don't know, so they're in a position where they can stay or leave. From a purchase perspective, do I see it? I think it's incredibly inflated. And I think by at least 10-20%. I would love to see that change for everyone involved. I think it's volatile.
Yes.
But
and if you had the ear of the minister, we know we've just sworn a new government. I say we, a new government has been sworn into Portugal. There will be a minister who has this in their portfolio. This housing crisis, really, isn't it? What would the industry be saying to that person about how to solve this situation, and also how to protect Portuguese people from this, of course, because in these sorts of situations, everyday Portuguese folks have a massive pressure put on them, don't they, in the areas they've traditionally lived in?
Huge. Yeah.
So what's to be done about that? What is it? I mean, it just sounds a little bit. I mean, you say volatile. That is the word of the moment, isn't it?
It is. It is, and I wish I knew how to solve it. I don't. I mean, because people's hearts are so big, they want to the influx because they want to keep everybody safe. Yeah. You know, I mean, people want to support people, and at some level, you're just like, okay, it's, you know, there's a cost involved with that. But right now, let's make sure everybody's safe.
Yes.
Bottom line. So, and then we can talk about the volatility of the market and how that affects everyone long term. But I mean, Ukraine, the effect long term is, I mean, they have to build their entire. You know, I mean, I'm grateful that they're here, and as long as they need to stay here, whatever the market does to protect them, then we're going to do that. Long term for Cascais, I don't know. We've never been in this position before. I've been saying this for months, and it continues to escalate.
That's right, isn't it? I'm gonna have to get better questions, aren't I? Because
I don't know.
But asking you every time about, you know, what's going to happen here, it's becoming more and more difficult to say, isn't it? It's like it's not going to return to normal because we don't even know what that is anymore.
What's
we
normal?
Are talking about it's wide open, isn't it? It's wide open, and even before the Ukrainian crisis, there were the same sort of conditions, weren't there, of uncertainty?
So, yeah, because I mean, first we had normalcy, but it was still an increasing market. Then we had COVID, and the market increased 12% under the first year of COVID. Okay, you know, and then nobody expected that, so that became the new normal. And then COVID slowed down, or did it? and then we have the end of golden visa, which sped everything up and increased the prices there as well. Because, you know, in the last month, people were paying these prices for something that had this value because they needed their golden visa. And then my thought was, I said to my clients, wait, January, February, it'll all calm down again. We'll get some inventory. We'll just, and then Ukraine happened.
It'll be fine, said Wiley. It'll calm down in a little while. My goodness. What next? I suppose that's the question, isn't it? What next? Okay. I'm being laughed at here, Wiley. When I read General Salt, it does sound like a Brit saying salt. I can't help that. I booked holiday to Portugal yesterday for September. Oh, I think you'll probably able to answer this. I'll have a go as well. So from CPTDDE, we'll have my 6-month-old with me. How does it work with taxis? Sometimes, and on the bigger people carriers, they will have a booster seat and maybe even a baby seat. What I would say is, I mean, if you've booked a transfer, maybe book the transfer proactively rather than just hailing a taxi. I would be I think other people here might have some suggestions for you. CPTDE, but yeah, if you book it and ask for that, I think they will certainly help you. There's
a part of me that even thinks Ubers are allowing you to book not just immediately, but to schedule an Uber, and then you can request a car seat there.
There you go. Portimao then. Victoria might know the answer to that from, or could ask a friend. Pamela Smith, bon dia from Michelle as well. Yeah, catch Pam tonight as alongside some of the Ask Her Expats team. Let's have those real estate questions in as well. Yeah, Steve Martin. So we were talking, who was it who said a day without laughter is a day wasted? This is a day without sunshine is like, well, night basically. Thank you, Steve Martin. Thought for today, mankind is made from two words, man and kind. Thank you, Portuguese. I think that chimes perfectly with what we've been talking about today. Both veganism and humanitarian responses. If you are interested in the history of the Napoleonic Peninsula campaigns, are you, Wiley?
Not as we speak.
In passing, perhaps, you might enjoy Bernard Cornwell's Richard Sharp series. Thank you, Jean, for that. So that will, of course, include a little bit of Portuguese action. Louise Wheeler's here as well. Good morning. I've just arrived in Portugal for a recce. We'll have a brekkie with your recce, Louise, and let us know if we can help. Where are you going to be?
Recce?
Like a scouting trip. I think what the Americans call a scouting trip.
Okay.
That I've been pulled up on that before, Wiley. Yes, you need to know that. You need to, because Brits might say, "I'm popping over for a recce. Can you help?" This is Her Majesty wanting to come for a recce and find Cascais. So now you know it's just a scouting trip, basically. Cheers, Louise. Let us know how we can help you this morning. We've missed your presence, Francis. Excellent. You're all being so nice to each other. That's fantastic. That's what we've come to expect. And a good morning from Louise as well there. Brian's in, travelling to Scotland today for a wedding. Still packing. Sarah's in. Doable. I still haven't got the pronunciation of Stubble right. And even someone corrected me on YouTube the other day. So but bon dia to you, Sarah, wherever it is you live. And Wiley Idrioti. Has that ever been made before? That's a stretch.
Never. I have to correct people because his first name was Weil, and then his middle initial was E, and then his last name was Perry.
You're right. I love that. Never. Yes. Good morning, Portugal, and all the lovely Gumpers. Coming from Finland, Suze, we're the deciding factor for me too in coming to Portugal. Oh, this community was a deciding factor. Even my friends wanting me home are thinking this will be a good move. Oh, fantastic to hear that, Suze. How's it going? Chris is also on a recce, Wiley. We arrived at the meetup at 2 p.m. and left San Martino after dark. Wow! Met so many great folks. Perfect venue with a killer view and great staff. Carl and his kids had a vicious game of Uno going. We did. Nearly came to blows. The same could be said of Cascais, couldn't it? Could you just give us back to basics on Cascais? Killer views over there. What can people expect from that city who haven't heard about it before? I mean, if there is anyone in that condition. I know, it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
I think Cascais has been on the map for some time now, but the views they're spectacular. I mean, and it's just ever changing. And the beauty of driving the coastline is just even here in Cascais, when you're driving out to Guincho, how as the road is winding and the angles from Cabo de Roca, so the most westerly point, and then the north winds. So you'll turn a corner and the wind will be so fierce that you have to close the windows. Then you'll turn another corner and there's no wind at all. So it's got these kind of climates as you go through, and we're almost always seeing in this particular corner that they're taking the sand and pushing it back on the beach because of that northwesterly wind. But 2 minutes earlier, there was nothing. And all of the views kind of get all these different landscapes. So you'll have an angle where you'll have this kind of wind-ridden hill, and then you'll have an angle where it's just cliffs and water splashes and spraying and no wind, and there's wild rabbits living amongst the cliffs, and it's so available because they've created this incredible walk along this whole cliff, Peradão beach. I mean, it's just it's so available. It's so fabulous. It's just there's no one who can't afford a view because it's just always right there. It's not for the privileged. I mean, it really is. It's just so cool. And
you make a good point. You make a very good point. Not just for the privileged, because people can be put off. People can be put off the area, can't they? On that basis,
it's not. Yeah. And anybody within walking distance can be at any one of these cliff fronts. The thing that's a little weird here is that in the United States, I think probably because we're so litigious, is that or maybe smart, is that we have fences or barricades so that you can't go towards the cliff. I could walk off the cliff in a second. There's nothing preventing you. It's literally earth, cliff. So it's a little scary for the people who are out there sitting on the cliffs looking at the views. And I'm always like, but it's incredible.
We need, with that cliff thing, you need the Nossa Senora effect that we have at Nazaré, just up the road here. Saved by our lady. Yes, be careful on those cliffs, everybody. You mentioned Guincho. Now, this is, I think, a legendary resort or destination, isn't it? Is this particularly known for water sports at Guincho?
Yeah, Guincho, they say of 365 days that there's a red flag, 300 of them, because of the northwest angle of that beach. That the waves are much larger than the other beaches that we have here in Cascais. Nothing compared to Nazaré, believe me, nothing.
Okay.
But it's where you're going to find most of your kite surfing, windsurfing, and surfing for the advanced people. Then down over in Caparica is where because the wind, but there's no waves over there. So that's the wind, just the wind coming in. But Guincho is gorgeous. And we get to run our dogs there October through May. So it's kind of become dog beach, and tons of surfing schools for the days that it's not overwhelming. Horses on the beach. Guincho is beautiful, huge, amazing. But I think it's one of our deepest beaches. It's maybe not our longest beach. I think Carcavelos might be, but our deepest might be.
All right, and then a bit further along, the legendary Bocca d'Inverno. Is that what it's called? The devil. What's that about?
Bocca d'Inverno, the mouth of hell. It almost looks like a keyhole. So you have a very famous restaurant here, Mar d'Inferno, one of the very famous, very expensive fish restaurants, and it's right on the cliff. And then the cliff comes in. And then they've created this cliff walk. So they've built this walkway where it is gated that you can look over this. So a lot of people do jump in it because you can't survive it. It's just jiggity jaggedy, but it's a nickel hole, and so the waves come in and come back out. It's quite beautiful. That's Mar d'Inferno, a Bocca d'Inferno. Yeah,
just doesn't sound really very nice on a tourism guide, does it? Come to the mouth of hell. Much better than it sounds. It's worth taking a look at for sure. Okay, Mike's in this morning. Bon Dialgria from Chelm this morning. Not heard of that. Is that short for Chelmsford? First break for a few days, keeping the dream alive. Looking forward to retirement in July and moving to Portugal. Do we have Wiley's details? Can we have those before we say ta-ra to you this morning? What's the best way to get in touch with you, Wiley?
Wiley at wileyandpartners.com.
Very simple. Okay. And I think I've got a banner to put on the screen for that as well, which I will find. Yes. So, here we go. No, it's not that one. I will get you the details, Mike, so that you can get in touch with Wiley, and people helping us out with recon as well. Reconnaissance is short for, of course, I think a military term there. Recon is US English, apparently. I think. I'm not sure. Victoria Benson, reconnaissance. So now we know a recce. A very British way of saying it, isn't it? Just shortening it like that. And a reconnoiter. Oh, okay. Another twist to the meaning here means to make a reconnaissance of, obtain information about an area. I think we've settled that now, haven't we? Okay. Okay. Well, anything else then to tell us about the property market? What's going on? This the big problem, of course, is lack of inventory, isn't it? People are facing this all over the country at the moment. Struggle to find rentals, and people need them for their D7s. Struggle to find houses to buy, and then all the cultural processes that you have to attune yourself to. Any tips for those making that rather challenging journey and adventure at the moment?
Well, what I say to a lot of people, because especially now, people are looking now for rentals, for example, in July. Unless you're willing to pay for it now for a rental in July, there's no reason to look. They're not going to be there. You can. Okay. My suggestion is look so that you become a better buyer, a better renter, because you see the fluctuations in the market, and you start to see a price point per square meter for rentals, which used to be 17, which is now more towards 20 euros a square meter. So you're starting to see some fluctuations in that, but getting caught up on it in one particular rental now, or asking someone to get information for you on one rental now, unless you're going to rent it now, don't waste your time. 1 week before, And again, unless you're willing to sign 3 weeks in advance and pay 3 weeks in advance, or a month or 3 months in advance, 1 week before is the only way. If I call on a Remax listing for you and say, my client's interested in this listing, we'd like an appointment in 2 weeks' time, they won't make one.
Really?
In 1 week's time, they won't make one because they have no idea if it's available. And it's just more work for them because then they have to call me back and cancel it. But if I call Monday for Friday, they'll make a reservation for me. So you don't need that much time, and you're wasting your time if you do that. But I have clients who send me listings, which we keep on a list. They're coming in 3 months' time, and then we just add to the list. And then a week before they get here, I go to the list, and the ones that are left are the ones that we see. So we can do things like that. But anything else would be, and it's good to know. It's never a bad idea to look. It's just don't get caught up on it, something you see now that you definitely want that rental for July because it's probably not going to be available. So
and which could be very disappointing as well, right? It could be disappointing and disheartening.
That's it. That's
it.
That's very frustrating.
All right, question.
The rental market, and for the housing market, it's almost the exact same thing. I mean, I can't tell you that house is going to be available in July, but once again, it's never a bad idea to be a better buyer. Do your due diligence, get a feel for the housing market, and start sending listings back and forth. If only because, as you know, no one gives you an address. If only to start understanding and that you like this particular neighborhood, and that helps you as a buyer or renter to focus in on a certain area. So other than that, that's my best tip. Not to
all right. A question has just come in. I don't know if you extend into this area.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. Don't know the answer to that one, Gary. Come back when Jacqueline's on again, or just get in touch directly with Jacqueline. And I mean, that'll be very case specific as well, won't it? But Jacqueline might have a general rule. Wiley, such fun to talk to you. Sorry, another question before you go. Would Wiley recommend short-term renting to be in country while we are searching out a longer-term solution on the ground? I don't know if you mean in the country generally, as in Portugal, or do you mean in the countryside there, Mike? I don't know. What's the alternative?
A longer-term solution for short-term rental, my first thought is Airbnb, and 100%. I think everyone should rent here for a minimum of a month because you're going to get a feel for the neighborhoods. You'll feel where your kids are going to school, where their friends live. It's always a good idea. It's never a bad idea. Short-term rentals, though, when you're signing contracts, for example, D7s, that's not going to work because you generally have to sign a 1-year contract, which means you're in it for 8 months. If that is your definition of short-term, also never a bad idea. And then a longer-term solution for purchasing, I think everyone should rent before they buy. And that's hard to say because there's no rentals. But I mean, on some level, be here so that because buying is a huge commitment. If you don't know your neighborhood.
I think that's the guidance we often give is make a base camp. Set up a base camp. It's not a huge country. Make a base camp. Find somewhere that's good enough for that base camp. Do your recce. Fantastic. Oh, look, we thought we were going to say goodbye, and then this. Can anything be done to put the many dilapidated buildings into service? This is a tricky one, isn't it?
It's so tricky. I wish the answer were a clean cut yes. I wish it were clear. It is not clear.
It is so not.
There's 1,000 reasons why they're dilapidated, and it's generally because there's a family who bought it 100 years ago, and it's been passed down a generation to 2 brothers and sisters, which has now become 14 cousins, 2 half cousins, and nobody's going to have the same idea about how to sell it. At this point, they don't even know how to sell it. So it's just, if there are so few people who have the time and energy to trace it all back to find the powers that be, sit down and try to make sure that everyone gets a cut of this inheritance they've gotten. So that's one scenario, and then there's 12 others. So it's hard because they're not as digital as they could be, and they certainly weren't back then. So all the papers aren't what they need to be. And if it was before 1951, there's no papers.
Wow, 1951. Okay, and don't get in. I mean, basically, no, not in a hurry is the answer to that question.
Try because they're cool,
but don't get the full sense of security that it's going to be easy to find a place because there are so many empty buildings in Portugal. That doesn't follow, does it? This is what I've learned. You have this rosy vision, don't you, which could be a Hollywood film script of just knocking on the house next door and saying, this whole place, I'd like to do it up. Really? We want to sell it, and we only want 50K for it. It doesn't really very often work out like that.
Happen in the country, but you know, when you see advertisements for houses, huge estates for for 50,000 euros, and you think, great, but that's nowhere around here. I wish. Yeah. There's a plot of land in front of here. I live in a little fisherman's village. There's a plot of land in front of me, and there's 2 T1s on either side, 2 little fisherman T1s on either side. And they sold the lot for 80,000 euros. A triangle pizza-sized piece of lot where you could no more build a T1 if you tried, but the tiniest T1, probably a 50 square meter home for 80,000 euros. The land.
Just for the land. That's what's going on here in Portugal. Wiley, thank you so much. It's been lovely to sit with you by your fire as well. Now, there was a question about that. What's going on? Why has she got the stove on in the Portuguese summer? It is only spring, and even though Wiley is used to Sweden, you become acclimatized, don't you? It's not long until...
It's so ridiculous. Like 4 years ago when I got here, I laughed at the Portuguese for having hats on and down coats on.
That's you now. That's you. Wiley, enjoy the day. I hope it warms up over there in Cascais for you. Great to chat with you as ever. And we'll see you next month. Bye. Hey, there she goes to put on more layers and a hat and a scarf in the apartment there in Cascais. WileyandPartners.com. If you want to get in touch, that's the way to do it there on the screen. Let's see what you've been saying for the last 15 minutes of the show. Let's go back to the comments, shall we? Don't forget tomorrow. That was the original. From one trusted real estate partner in Wiley there to another we have in the north, the Vitor Costa, and his representation of me, which actually by the end of it has turned out like this. So check us out tomorrow at 10:45. I really honestly don't know what's going to happen there, but it should be fun that tomorrow. And Feel Good Friday with Philomena. We'll be singing the Zé Afonso song. So come in good voice, gargle with whatever it is you gargle with, honey. And get your voice nice and really do your vocal exercises. And we look forward to your company for that. So we'll go back to the comments now and see what's going on. You can send in your pictures to 913-590-303. What's been going on here? And of course, she's heard that Wiley joke before. Okay. And I think I've covered all the other pictures that were sent in this morning. If you missed, we had some great pictures this morning. Watch the replay. If you came in late, let's see. Wagwan we've got a Faja de Dia as well somewhere here. I'm scrolling back and I'm going to, what's this? Even human don't. I can't put your comments up with that picture. Flipping heck, Andrew. What are you trying to do to me? I had a professor who 30 years ago predicted the unsustainability of beef and that buffalo and ostrich would eventually replace it since they can survive on the native plains vegetation. Fascinating, Gene. Yes, and then probably that seemed crazy at the time, but makes a lot of sense now, right? Faja Dodia, there's nothing like this by Omar. Yes, met his dad, once. What is that? Why? I can't even read that out, just in case. Just in case. A 90s tune has a true meaning for so many different things. I had the pleasure of meeting. Oh, so you met him and I met his dad at Gatwick Airport one year. He's a really nice bloke, isn't he? Very unassuming, just like his father. It's about your total carbon footprint, I think, gives scope for diversity of our personal joys in life. Yeah, Michelle, I'm going to probably continue to eat animal protein myself. I just find the whole conversation very interesting. Portugal is very vegan friendly, despite what I've said to people in the past. Okay, I think I'm back to the right place in the comments so that we can have a bit of a catch up now. No, I'm not. Kindness makes everyone feel good, doesn't it? Just would love to join you all on your meetup, but I have taken up a job now. Boo. Boo. Oh, and here he is. Look, Vitor is here. Salutations from the Vitor Costa, as he now refers to himself. You can't be talking like this, Gemini here. Spain is lovely, cheaper, but depends on where you go. No, stay in Portugal, folks. Oh, yeah, and the layers. Layers is what I tell visitors to Portugal. A button-down cardigan makes it easier to strip. Thank you. And yes, whilst I don't have ripped abs, not at the moment. I mean, my beach bod obviously is in preparation. And I'm not so ripped. I let it go a little bit, during the autumn and the winter. But don't worry, David. When you come to the meetup, I will strip off and let you see my rippling abs under 3 layers of polo necks or whatever when the time comes. You will not be deprived of that. And no, I don't have pictures. I think somebody else was asking this morning of that. 27,000 Ukrainians welcome to Portugal during the crisis, 8,000 in the UK. You can tell he's not a happy bunny about the UK response here. I thought that was Portuguese, actually, not you, Prof. Eusebio, but yeah, a bit of an indictment on, and interesting, isn't it? The relative responses of our 2 countries in question there. Yes, job, Maxime. Why? No, Gemini. Why would you do that? Perhaps that restriction is limited only mostly to those south of the US borders. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, makes me wonder if a Ukrainian has been welcomed and allowed to enter the US. Interesting. Yeah, I've not heard much about that. Pips in Botswana. Hello, Pippa. Makes me wonder. No, that was bon dia. I've landed on Blighty. Oh, 30 centigrade colder. What? That is a massive drop. I hope you've got a few layers on than Africa, heading to Portugal for Easter and so excited. If you can come to our meetup, that would be awesome. And Louise was asking, it's every Wednesday, Louise, the Silver Coast meetup. And it is I think it's safe to say it's a template that works. If you want the blueprint for managing a meetup, I mean, you know what to do, don't you? But if you want a little bit of guidance and support, you got it. I'll happily share with you our formula for what we do on a Wednesday. And please, don't do it on a Wednesday. Don't at the same time. We want to have these all over the country on different days so we can go on tour. But if you want a bit of guidance on that, very happy to do so. I believe the US will fast track 100,000 refugees from Ukraine. There, it's probably sounding a bit like the UK there. We will do that. Portugal's just got on with it, haven't they? And where are the pics? I think of these are my rippling abs. Looks like it. So just so everyone knows, and we can ask her tomorrow. We can ask Philomena whether this is a grey-legged goose, which Andy Hyde adopted last year. Good to have you here this morning, Andy. Thank you for your corrections on that. Of course, it's a goose and not a duck. I knew that, really. Just in the heat of the moment, it got me fowl mixed up. And next thing I know, they're not called fowl. They are, aren't they? Ducks and geese and chickens all called fowl. And Can Sharp and his cut-off rifleman make their way to Portugal. Nice cliffhanger there, Gene. It wasn't one of mine either until I started reading. This is the interest in the Peninsular Wars, right? Sharp's Rifles is the first book. Begins with Sir John Moore's inglorious retreat and evacuation across northern Spain. I can see how you would be pulled into that and gripped by that. The Salamanca, going to do a little video review. Okay, all right. Remember where you heard it first. Plant-based is great, but I could never eat a 100% plant-based. I could never eat 100% plant-based. No one's asking you to either, or are they? Is that in the WEF plans? You will not have meat and be happy about it. Love a nice, juicy, well-done steak. Okay. Look at this. We have to bring it to your attention. There are only 58 people watching and only 28 likes here, says Keeper of the Likes, Lycus Maximus. And if you're watching this on replay, I think it's fair to like it there again. So I think it works. It seems to. And we're quite obsessed with that here collectively, aren't we? So why not hit or fondle that like button, whether you're listening live or later on, which is, I think we get most of our hits, if you like, our views later rather than live. But isn't it special, this live environment? Us Gumpers here in Gumperville, the Gumperverse, and the new condition we've discovered this morning, passive gumperism. You know who you are. I am lactose intolerant, says Matty, and from experience in restaurants, they understand vegan better than lactose-free. And I dislike the way our civilization treats animals in the food industry. Yes, you're not alone in that. I experienced grilled liquor, Lisa, last week in Sagres. It was fantastic. I will be sure to eat that again. But what was it? We want to know. Buffalo is available in the stores now. I haven't seen ostrich yet. There's a joke in there somewhere, isn't there? Not seeing ostrich. You might have your head in the sand. Stop that, Andrew, for heaven's sakes, man. Following the tradition of Prof. Kellogg's, he was a funny man. Professor Kellogg was a strange fellow, was he not? Boxing gloves in bed and all that sort of stuff. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? Yes, the meat industry recommends way more a need for protein than science does. Funny that, isn't it? Funny. Follow the money, honey. And Alpha's not well, apparently. I can't put the comment up, Andrew, for reasons you now know. Alpha's sick and going to the vets this morning. Poor Alpha. All the best and lots of love to your household. And Alpha, little Alpha there. Hola, bon dia from Chris. There you go. It's a nice warm welcome for you, Louise. Welcome to Portugal. Are you looking all over Portugal or just in a certain area? It's the same here in Australia, says Michelle. Where are all the people leaving from? Yeah, there is a mass migration, isn't there? In these uncertain and volatile times. And I'll say it in the American way. I prefer volatile, but I'll go with volatile for now. What is causing the sudden demand? Is that in Portugal? I think it doesn't take much, does it? Tipping point with anything is not 50%, is it? It's not majority. It's way below that, I think. I think it's in the 20s, isn't it? A tipping point where you get the what's it called? Momentum. No, you know what I mean. Like a critical mass. You get a critical mass, and it's not a tipping point of like 51% over 49. Although that is another phenomenon that's causing quite a lot of trouble in the world at the moment. But movements of people, sudden changes as a result, tipping points. I think we're experiencing a lot of that, and on many different fronts at the moment. Warning: cost of living is exponentially growing, while income, minimum wage, etc., is barely keeping pace with the slug. I think, is that just a general thing, or is that in a report from the slug world this morning? Welcome, Portugal Dream, to this community. Thanks, Rawef. Great to be corresponding with you. It's always wonderful to have new participants making their comments. So there you go. I didn't even see that one, Portugal Dream. Is that Louise? Is it true that the EU has called for a review of golden visas? Yeah, I think the because of the Ukrainian situation and the appearance of many Russians using golden visas, that has been brought into question. I think they were always in question. It's a political hot potato, isn't it, the golden visa? May stands out as an important date, I think, for this. Thank you, Michelle, for that. Tonight's forecast, everybody, dark. Very good. Thank you, George Carlin. I think both James and T-Duck coming up with the George Carlin quotes at the moment. T-Duck, you're quiet. You're just watching. So, yes, we've got the recon recce thing sorted out, I think, haven't we? As aviation moves to living with COVID, book your flights with the thought of cancellation and delays in mind. Soon, face masks on some flights may no longer be required. And I did see in the two articles in the Portugal News and Portugal Resident, respectively. In the Portugal News, oh no, they're both in the Portugal News. Actually, a third one now. There are 55. Actually, no. Let me ask you this question, and we'll do it as multiple choice. How many millionaires are there in Portugal? Are there 55 millionaires? Are there 55,000 millionaires? Or are there 550,000 millionaires in Portugal? I'll leave that hanging there. British couple invests 3 million in a rural hotel. I need to find out more about that. I'm going to look at that after the show. And also, going back to what Chris was just saying, proposal for immediate end to mask use. I mean, I think the time has come, isn't it? And those poor people who work in the shops, and is it kids in school? Are they still having to do that? The Liberal Initiative, I guess there's no surprise that it would come from the Liberal Initiative, will present this Wednesday a bill in the Assembly of the Republic that aims to end the mandatory use of a mask in most closed public spaces. According to a report by Observador, the objective is to put an immediate end to the mandatory use of masks for most closed public places, including schools. Yes, so still in schools, those poor pupils, where it is mandatory for children. Hello, yes, I'd love a coffee, thank you. You don't have to wear a mask in here. The party, led by João Coutinho Fig, she's no intention of doing so, everybody, only excludes from this initiative health establishments and services. Yeah, and we heard, didn't we, from Serenity? That makes sense in hospitals to minimize that sort of transmission among especially poorly people who you might expect to be there and the vulnerable in hospitals. Anyway, residential or reception structures or home support services for vulnerable populations, the elderly or people with disabilities, according to the diploma. What do you think is going to happen there? No speculation. Comments, they're always great fun in the Portugal News. These morons have no right to be politicians. It will simply immediately spread the new Omicron variant like wildfire. It is really no big deal to be considerate to others and wear a mask in indoor spaces. James, that is. James, the vaccine stops it spreading, doesn't it? Right on, James, and so true. Careless people only thinking of themselves as the cases are going up again. Spoken like a true humanitarian. It's always James, I think. I've got this idea that there are lots of eggy comments on the Portugal News. I think it's mainly this James character, isn't it? It's about time, says Tony, though. 1 year too late. There are way too many people that have been fully manipulated by the fear-mongering propaganda of the DGS, says Tony in the Algarve. Wow, last few comments then, short for reconnaissance. I think we've done that. Gary, check it out with Jacqueline from Mortgage Direct. And are any meetups planned in the next week? Yeah, every week, Louise. Hope to see you there. Silver Coast, you'll be very welcome next week. Stacks of comments, so little time, a minute to go, everybody. Carl, the Mother Goose. I've got them somewhere. Next to the Lederhosen photographs from the Oktoberfest night, which was also... No, not the Mankini. That's another set of photographs. I'm going to have to buy more space with Google at this rate, aren't I, for all these photographs that I don't really want anyone to see, but could have my arm twisted. You can have a private jet and yacht as long as you don't eat meat. Ty Johnson, anyone had any success volunteering within their local community? Ty, good question. Join us tonight on the webinar. Pam has, and Pam will be talking about it this evening. Learned about the Battle of Salamanca through the sharp books. Wellington thought it his greatest victory. Yes, Lord Wellington, Wellesley of England. Grilled grey mullet. That's the Lisa. It was very delicious. A mullet, though. 55,000 is correct. 55,400 to be exact. That's how many millionaires there are in Portugal. Are any of you here this morning watching the show? I wonder. Yes, 55,400 millionaires, or just around 5% of Portugal's population are millionaires. That's interesting, isn't it? Sam Nazare. Very interesting indeed. Yes, the impact on aviation will be that there won't be enough standby staff to cover the sick air crews. I think some of you are experiencing that. This is the reason why so many flights were cancelled this week. And the US has agreed to 120,000 going in via Mexico. This is Ukrainians, I think. About 50 per open hours, I see there. I think that's what that means anyway. Thank you, Susie Q, for that late entry. And thank you for being a YouTube member. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone. I can show this one. It's not his other ID. I have a great day. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe. COVID-19 seems to be rising once more. And he also goes on to say, it sounds like a dating profile, Andy. I'm rich in love and cash poor. So it won't be much of a date, but he is all heart after all. He'll take you to see a nice sunset or something like that, or the river. But he doesn't need to. He's not in that situation, everybody. But that does sound like a bit of dating profile to me, at Portuguese Andy there. Okay, thanks, everybody. You've been amazing. Should we watch those sandpipers again as we go out this morning? Great to have your company. Thank you to Wiley. See you tonight with Pam on the Ask Our Expats. So every first Thursday of the month, we have the Ask Our Expats team hosting that call, and we'll take more general Q&A as well as hearing from Pam about her volunteering experiences to answer your question there, Ty. It'd be great to have you there tonight, and you can sign up for that at the expatsportugal.com website. Please do that. And yes, so we'll look at sandpipers on the way out. Or I could actually, I've got another treat for you. I've got a couple of videos. Talking of rippling abs, I've got a special video. You asked for it, you get it. We'll see you tomorrow. See you Premium Plus folks at 9 as well with Vitor and Philomena Friday tomorrow from 8:30. But from 9 is when Philomena will join us, and we will be singing that key song in the history of Portugal's Carnation Revolution. Check this out. If you want rippling abs, look no further.